Hey guys, welcome. I know that photography can feel like this massive, impossible challenge to overcome. You buy a new camera, you're faced with dozens of buttons, menu options, or just new things altogether to figure out. And honestly, it can be quite overwhelming. But I want to tell you a secret today. And that secret is the 80-20 rule. You can learn 80% of what it takes to take a fantastic photo by just mastering 20% of the concept. And at 20%, it all comes down to three things. And that's what we call the exposure triangle, where that's your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture. I'm going to simplify these concepts so you can finally switch your camera out of auto mode, troubleshoot when your photos don't look as best as you want them to, and learn to start taking awesome images. So let's dive in. First thing we want to talk about here is ISO. Think of ISO as your camera's sensitivity to light. It's not actually how much light is coming in, but how hard your camera is trying to see the light that's there. The rule is simple. The higher the ISO, say the number is 6400, the more sensitive the sensor becomes, which means that you can take pictures in a darker place that doesn't have as much light. Sound good, right? The problem is, as you crank up that sensitivity, you introduce something called noise and grain. That is that ugly, speckly look in the darker areas of your image. A very beginner rule for ISO is always keep it as low as possible. You set your ISO based upon your scene first. If you're outside on a bright day, use ISO 100, 200. If you're indoors or it's evening, you might want to jump up to 800, 1600, or higher depending on the situation. ISO is your sensitivity. High number equals more light, but more noise. So try to keep it as low as possible. Aperture. This is the size of the hole inside your lens that lets light through. You see this in your settings as an F number, like f2.8, f16. This number is the most confusing part of photography because it's backwards. A smaller number like f2.8 means a bigger hole, which lets in a lot more light. A larger number like f16 means a smaller hole, which lets in less light. But light isn't the main thing we use aperture for. We use it for depth of field. This is how much of your photo, from the front to back, is in sharp focus. A low F number like f1.8, only your subject's in focus, and the background is creamy. It has a beautiful blur, which we call bokeh, great for portraits. A high F number like f11, everything is in focus, the foreground, the subject, the background. This is really great for landscapes or even big group photos. Aperture controls the size of the hole, but you use it to control your background blur. A low F number equals more background blur. A high F number equals everything is sharp. For shutter speed, this is simple. The amount of time your camera's shutter stays open. It's measured in seconds or fractions of a second. The main thing we use shutter speed for is controlling motion blur. Do you want to freeze action or do you want to blur the motion? A fast shutter speed, for example, 1/1000th of a second. The shutter opens and closes so fast it freezes the subject. This is really great for sports, your kids playing and running outside, or even splashing water scenes. A slow shutter speed, for example, 1/115th of a second or 2 seconds, the shutters open longer, which means we're capturing more of the movement. Use this if you want to capture that silky smooth water effect or even light trails from cars. Warning though, you will need a tripod with those lower shutter speeds. Again, shutter speed controls motion. Faster shutter means freezing the motion. Slower means blur motion. Okay, so how do you use all these together? Here's a simple workflow for you. ISO, aperture, shutter speed. First thing you want to do, set your ISO. Keep it low based upon the light in your scene. Second thing you want to do is set your aperture. Decide how much of the background blur you want. If it's a portrait, low F number. If it's landscape, high F number. Finally, adjust your shutter speed. This will help you get that perfect exposure and help you capture and control any motion. Now, Let's say you take a picture and it's too dark. You need more light. The first thing you change is your shutter speed. Slow it down. If it's still too dark, then adjust your aperture. Only raise your ISO as a last resort because that's what adds in more noise. What if the photo is too bright? Reverse it. First lower your ISO as low as you can go. Then speed up your shutter speed and then finally raise your aperture number. The final key, if you can only remember 3 things, remember this. If your photo is blurry due to movement, your shutter speed is too slow. Speed it up. If your photo is grainy or speckled, your ISO is too high, lower it. If you don't have enough background blur, your aperture number is too high, lower that. And that's it. That's the exposure triangle. Get your camera, switch it to manual mode, and practice. You'll be taking awesome photos in no time. And if you found this to be helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. For more easy to understand tutorials, let me know in the comments what you'll be shooting today. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a great day.